Hello, I'm Rob, and welcome to this edition of R&B Reviews. The summer blockbuster season is just around the corner, so I figured it's now time to do my annual summer blockbuster preview where I talk about the movies that I'm interested in seeing. Now, what's interesting about this list is, I got my list right here. What's interesting about the list that I have this year is most of the movies are movies that I want to see just to see how they turn out instead of how I usually pick them, like, like if it's like an actor, maybe it's the story that sounds interesting, or maybe even the trailer itself makes it look like something that I want to check out. But this year, my list is movies that I just have been hyped about, or they've been talked about for a couple of years, so I'm more interested to see how they turn out more than anything. Although there are a couple movies on here I picked just because I actually do want to see them because because of those other factors. Now, the first movie that I'm interested in checking out is Captain America: Civil War. Now, there's been a lot of buzz about this movie, and I want to see it mainly because I liked the last Captain America movie, Winter Soldier, but I also want to see if this movie can handle all these characters that the movie is supposed to have, because not only do we have some familiar characters that we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like Iron Man, I think we have Black Widow, and of course Captain America, but they're also going to introduce Black Panther. Let's see who else. Spider-Man is supposed to have an appearance in here, so I want to see if this movie can handle, whether it's going to be one of those, because something I've always noticed with some superhero movies is every movie where they're trying to set up another movie or introduce characters, it always feels overcrowded. So I want to see if this movie is going to end up being an overcrowded film or what have you. So that one I'm interested in seeing. Now, one movie that I really am interested in looking forward to seeing is Angry Birds. Now, the trailers made this movie look like it's going to be a funny movie. I really don't play Angry Birds, and I don't know too much about the characters, but the trailers, especially the first one that came out, really got me laughing, so that one I'm looking forward to. Another one I'm interested in checking out is Secret Lives of Pets. It's an animated film from Illumination Entertainment that made the Despicable Me and the Minion movies. And I want to see if this studio can handle, making other, movies with other type of characters and stuff like that without having to rely on Gru or the Minions. So I want to see if they end up pulling that one off. Now, this one might be a controversial choice. I'm interested in checking out the Ghostbusters movie. Like, I just saw the trailer, and there's a lot of people have been against this project from the get-go. They don't like there's people that say, that it should not have been rebooted, it should have been left alone, and they should have, not gone with an all-woman cast or lead characters, I should say. But I want to go see it, just not because, of any of those things. I want to see how this movie turns out, like whether this movie ended up, was worth the reboot or not. I did finally get around to seeing the trailer, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't been completely won over yet. The only segment of the trailer that I laughed at was at the end when Melissa McCarthy's character got possessed by a ghost, and all these characters are freaking out and they're slapping her and stuff like that. That part was funny, but other than that, I wasn't really completely won over. Still, I want to see how this movie turns out, and of course whether people are going to stay away and just because a classic has been messed with or what, but I'm interested in checking that out. Another movie I want to check out is Star Trek Beyond, the third movie in the reboot of the Star Trek series. I want to see if the series can go on without J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams directed the first Star Trek reboot in 2009, and then of course we had the second one, Into Darkness. I really liked the first film. The second one I was a little bit disappointed with, but now that J.J. Abrams went over to the Star Wars side and they brought in some new people, I'm curious to see how it turns out. I heard that they're going to make some changes to the Star Trek series, so I want to see whether these changes ended up working or not. Suicide Squad. Now, this movie looks interesting. I don't know too much about the Suicide Squad other than what I've seen in the trailers, but I'm really excited. Now, there's rumors going around that because of the Batman vs. Superman is starting to lose money, and people are complaining that it's so, it's not fun and stuff like that, that they're doing reshoots. I don't, that may be true, it may not be. I just hope it doesn't get messed with too much, because that looks like an interesting movie. That one I think comes out in August. Another movie that I really do want to see is Everybody Wants Some. Now, this movie, it actually came out this past weekend in limited release. It's supposed to get a wider release, I think April 15th. Now, when I first saw the trailers, I chuckled, and At first I wasn't really nuts about it, but as I kept thinking about the movie, I'm like, you know what? I really want to see this movie. I really want to. So now it's one of the first movies I'm probably going to see when it comes out. So I really am looking forward to it, and I hope it's worth it. It's from Richard Linklater. He made Dazed and Confused and many other great movies, so I want to check that one out. And finally, another movie that's not a blockbuster or a movie that people are looking forward to because of buzz that I want to see is The Shallows. Now, this is the movie where Blake Lively plays a young surfer, and she becomes stranded 200 yards away from a shore, and there's a shark surrounding her. Now, I like movies where you have one actor that has to carry almost the whole thing. Like, I don't know how many of you remember, I believe it was 1408 with John Cusack, where he plays a writer that stays in a supposedly haunted hotel room, and it's mostly him that has to carry it. That's what this movie kind of looks like. I know Blake Lively she's been around in a few movies, but I don't know if she's exactly been a huge, name star. But nonetheless, the premise sounds very interesting, and the trailer looked interesting, so that's one that I'm looking forward to. And we just ran through my list. Alright, so let me do a repeat. I'm interested in seeing Captain America Civil War just to see how it turns out. Angry Birds, that one looks very funny. I'm looking forward to that one too. Secret Lives of Pets, so we'll see if the Illumination, can, have a hit without Gru or the Minion characters from Despicable Me. Ghostbusters, let's see if this movie actually works, and whether it really does get whether it ends up being a good movie or whether it ends up being a complete disaster that'll go down in movie history. Star Trek Beyond, The Suicide Squad, Everybody Wants Some, and The Shallows. Alright, well that's my list, and now I'm going to turn the comments over to you. What are some movies that you are looking forward to this blockbuster season? Go ahead and post your comments, and if you have any comments about my choices, the same thing. And also, I'm currently doing an Ask the Critics segment where you, the audience, get to ask me questions. I'm hoping to get a video up this week. If you have any questions you'd like to ask me, like what my favorite movies are, what do I think of some of the trends going on in the movie business, write down, go ahead and post your comments on that as well. Alright, thank you very much for watching.